The Song and Dance Man. There are few left alive who remember the Song and Dance Man. Time has claimed the ones that survived the long night, and I'm sure they went willing to meet their Maker. Life takes on a strange tint after a night like that. The ones still left, Bill Parker, Sarah Carter, and Sam Tannen, don't talk about it. Sam is lucky. His brain started to turn to porridge a few years back, and now he has trouble figuring out how to put on his pants. He got an early reprieve from his memories. He doesn't wake up night after night, the music still playing in his ears, with tears still drying on his cheeks. The Song and Dance Man came to Belcarn with little fanfare in the fall of 1956. I had just gotten out of high school and was working as a stock boy at Handy's Hardware. I was there the afternoon that Sarah Carter burst through the door, making the bell over the door jingle like mad. "George, you gotta see what's been set up by the bandstand! There's this huge tent up, and this man is standing in front of it yelling like a carnival barker!" Sarah was out of breath and had obviously run from the park and all the way down to Main Street. Her hair was wispawed every which way, and one strand stuck to the end of her nose. She gave a quick puff and blew it out of the way, waiting for me to react. With Sarah, I was always 2 steps behind and running to catch up. The girl had energy in those days and an unlimited supply. I stopped rearranging the nails and said, "There wasn't anything up there when I walked by this morning. When did it go up?" She shrugged her shoulders, a quick raise and drop. "Dunno, but it's up, and you gotta see this guy. He's all dressed up, head to toe, and he can talk. Boy, he can talk." I thought about it and checked the clock. It was near about 5 and time for me to quit anyway. "All right, let's go and check it out then." Sarah grinned from ear to ear and was gone. I didn't doubt she was telling everyone in the gang, the ones that were still in town anyway. Most of us scattered to the 4 winds after graduation. Only a handful of us remained in town, and only a handful of us were on hand to witness the dance. I walked down to the bandstand by myself, not bothering to wait for the others. Most likely, Sarah was already there waiting for us. I met up with Bill as I passed the drugstore, where he worked as a soda jerk. "What the hell is Sarah talking about, George? She blew in here and then blew out again before I could ask her anything." Bill was a big guy, the tallest and heaviest guy in our class, and I just about cracked up the first time I saw him wearing that little pink paper cap that clearly makes his soda jerks wear. But Bill doesn't really like to be laughed at, and after the knot under my eye went down, I made sure not to laugh at him anymore. He's a good guy, aside from that temper. He was the best guy on the high school basketball team, too, though he's one of the few guys who got kicked out of a game. He threw another player halfway down the court, and they were on the same team, too. Bill said the other guy elbowed him in the gut. It had to have been an accident. No one would have done it on purpose. We both walked down the street, Bill smoking a cigarette, a habit that caught up to him in 1995 when they removed his right lung. At the end of Main Street, we crossed Buchanan and entered the park. Normally at that point, we would have been able to see the bandstand perched on a hill near the center of the park. During the summer, there'd be concerts, performances by the school marching band, a church choir singing some hymns, that kind of thing. Once a couple of kids from the high school had put together a pretty good rockabilly group, but someone on the parks committee passed an ordinance that banned rock and roll in the park. Small towns, you know. But now there was a huge faded yellow tent blocking the bandstand, like the kind in the circus, or the kinds those old revival ministers like to use when they're feeling the spirit and like to feel your wallet, too. There was already a pretty large crowd around the tent, and as Bill and I got closer, we could hear the fellow that Sarah had told us about. He sounded like a carnival barker, all right. Bill and I walked faster down the path that led to the tent. We pushed our way through the crowd, up toward the tent, and where we thought the man was. "Come on, everybody, it's getting close. We're going to have ourselves a heck of a time tonight. Yes, indeed, a heck of a time. We'll be singing, we'll be dancing, I promise that, and the Song and Dance Man always keeps his promises." We still couldn't see him. Still too many people were blocking the way. It looked like the whole town had shown up to see the Song and Dance Man. Bill tugged on my sleeve and pointed. I followed his finger and got bug-eyed. It was Reverend Harper, the Baptist minister. I've lived a good long time, but I ain't never seen a man that could thump a Bible harder than he could. Harper preached against the evils of sin. Sin in drinking, sin in smoking reefers, sin in smoking tobacco, sin in lying, and most of all, sin in dancing. Yet here he was, lining up to get inside the tent too, 'cause he certainly wasn't preaching. We waved to him, Bill waving with the hand that held the cigarette, and that old Baptist turned red as the Red Sea, turned and walked away. Bill and I grinned at each other and kept on walking toward the front and toward the song and dance man. Finally, we broke through the crowd, and there he was. He stood on an old crate, splintered and looking like it was on the verge of collapsing under his feet. On the grass beside him lay a black fiddle case with gold trim along its edges. It looked old, older than the crate, older than the town itself. It seemed like something ancient. He was all angles, all knees, elbows, and shoulders. He was tall and gangling, his body moving and bopping to the rhythm of his words. He wore a red and white pinstripe jacket, looking like he belonged in a barbershop quartet. A straw hat sat on his head, always getting pushed back or pulled forward by his long-fingered hands. Long six-fingered hands. I started when I saw that. I had read that some folks are born with 6 fingers, but reading something and seeing it are 2 different things. His eyes just about flashed blue lightning as he spoke, and sparks nearly flew from those white teeth, and he just never stopped talking. He didn't stop for breath, for questions, or anything. He just kept up that pattern like his very soul depended on it. All right, we're getting close, getting real close. Yes, we are. Are you ready to dance? Are you ready to sing? 'Cause I'm ready to play my fiddle. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Got a fiddle at my feet and I'm ready to play, ready to make those strings sing. Can you believe it? He'd clap his hands, and that's as close to a pause as he was willing to do. Sarah and Sam came up to us now, having found us in the crowd. Sarah elbowed me in the rib and said, "What did I tell you? Looks like he should be in a carnival trying to get us to see the bearded lady or something." Sam nodded his head in greeting to us, which caused his glasses to slide down his nose, and he gave them a short push back up to where they belonged. He was as tall as Bill, but nowhere near as built. He was the smart guy in our gang. You had to have someone like him around to tell how to do things, like take apart the principal's car and rebuild it in the school gym. Not that we ever did anything like that. "What's he selling?" asked Sam. "A dance, a figure," I said. "Well, what's it cost?" The song and dance man must have heard him, because he said, "What does it cost? What does it cost, I hear you ask? Why, it don't cost $1, and it don't cost a quarter, and it don't cost a dime. Folks, this will cost you nothing. Just get on in and dance to the song all night long." We all looked at each other. It was a good deal. A little free music and a space to dance. There wasn't much to do in town back in those days, and to be honest, there still isn't. This was almost too good to be true. The song and dance man stopped now, a minor miracle in and of itself. He dug deep in his pocket, pulled out a gold watch, checked the time, and then grinned a grin that must have shown every one of his teeth. He pocketed the watch and said, "Folks, it's time for the dance, so come on in, everyone, because it's time for the dance to begin." And with that, he hopped down from his crate, grabbed it up with the fiddle, and darted through the tent flaps. Sarah, Bill, Sam, and I nearly got mowed over in the rush to get inside, but we were still the first ones in. We stopped short when we pushed aside those big old tent flaps, but were quickly driven inside. It was huge inside. There was a hardwood floor beneath our feet that looked like it must be oak, a dark, dark oak polished to a mirror shine. There were candles and holders all along the tent pole posts, and when I looked up, I couldn't see the ceiling for all the darkness. It was like looking up at a starless night sky, where the moon didn't dare show her face. The crowd kept driving us, and more people poured in. It wasn't just the young people, either. There was Mrs. Crenshaw, our junior English teacher, who was in her 50s. There was Mr. Hoskins, the principal, the good old Reverend Harper, still looking embarrassed, but also like he couldn't help himself. It really was the whole damn town. Hell, even the mayor was there with his wife, standing and talking with the chief of police. Soon everyone was inside, and the murmur from all the talking was nearly deafening. It was already getting warm in there, and I was feeling cramped and claustrophobic. We were all looking for the song and dance man to see where he had gone. No one looked up, so no one saw him until the first pull of his fiddle bow. He was there, on the center tent pole, sitting on a small wooden platform about 20 feet off the floor. God knows how he got there, because there certainly wasn't any ladder going up. He dangled his feet over the edge and held his fiddle in one hand and the bow in the other. The fiddle and bow seemed to be made out of that same dark wood that the floor was, and gleamed in the candlelight like a thing alive. I almost doubted that the fiddle even needed the song and dance man to make its strings hum. We all looked up at him, and he grinned and jumped to his feet while the crowd gasped, worried that he might plummet into their midst. And then he began to play.